What is up, everybody? I am Derek Daniel, and this week in gaming, Fantastic Dev, or the studio behind the day before, rises from the ashes and rears its ugly head once again. Horizon 3 might be a ways off, not in the too distant future. And lastly, Blizzard chooses to forego a Netflix deal. I am one of your hosts, Derek Daniel, the only host today. I'm flying solo today, guys. About to say Zach had a work related event to go to this weekend, so he could not be here. But I told him, I got you, bro. Like, I'm going to hold down the fort tonight for you. So it's going to be a good show, guys. Little bit of housekeeping just to start it off. Obviously, next Thursday we will have our regularly scheduled full 2-man program next Thursday. But this upcoming Tuesday, Zach has a little treat for everyone. He is playing a little game that is near and dear to both of our hearts, mainly his because he's been super ecstatic for this. He is going to be playing Dragon Ball Sparking Zero for Tuesday night stream. Let's go. I will also be getting the game. I will not be able to play with him because, your boy's off vacation after this week, so he's got to go back to regularly scheduled work programming on Tuesday. So I will not be able to join the stream, but I will be able to play it so we can talk about it on next Thursday. And that leads me to my next thing about what have I been playing. Some say 1.5-man show. That's only for the production crew. When we're doing this, doing the actual show, it's a 2-man crew. Zach, come on now. Welcome, Amy and Zach. Glad that you're here. Zach can't be here, but he is periodically going to check in to the stream to make sure I'm not completely destroying his baby. But that being said, if you want to support this 1.5-man crew, go over to patreon.com/the NerdCave and support us there. But more on that later. Now it's time for a little segment, that only will get my response, but what you've been playing, and I'll be brief on this. We had a state of play last week, and me and Zach covered it. We were both ecstatic for Ghost of Yote, and that got me the itch because Star Wars Outlaws is not doing it for me. I'm pretty much through Astrobot, just trying to go back and collect the last few bots from the extra worlds that I have been lacking to fully 100% the game, but I've beaten the story. So that left me a gap. And that is, I decided to re-download Ghost of Tsushima for the PlayStation 5, and I've been playing it, and my goodness, that game holds up so well, especially running on the PlayStation 5, remastered, director's cut. It has the Legends multiplayer DLC. It has the Iki Island expansion on it, but I decided to start from scratch, start over fresh, and just have fun back in this world again. And my gosh, the color palette, the world, just the voice acting, the storytelling. Like, I was telling Zach this because I started it before I came and visited him and Amy this weekend, which was fun. I enjoyed myself. It was a nice, relaxing weekend out of my neck of the woods and to go visit some friends. But I started it before I came down to visit, and that first mission, just opening up like where they're meeting the Mongols, and minor, I guess, spoilers if you're still haven't played Ghost of Tsushima. The head general, yes, some good food as well, Zach, for sure. Like, definitely some good food. Very much good food this weekend. But no, like where the general of Tsushima Island, like of the Tsushima army, and the Khotan Khan meet each other, and he's like telling them all, like the general for the Tsushima army is telling him about his lineage and all that, and Khotan Khan just is like, throws oil on him, lights him on fire, and just basically beheads him. It's like, I don't care about your lineage. Just, give the island over to me. So it was, it's always nice to go down that road and revisit the story because there are some things that you forgot or, that you glossed over. And then, it's just fun to relive those moments again, because I know there's one moment about halfway through the game that is very heart-wrenching. Zach knows what I'm talking about. I can't wait to re-experience that again in a different setting, or like again on a more powerful system. Zach says the Khan don't play. He don't play. He doesn't. He's all about business. He's about taking over Tsushima Island, and that's it. He doesn't care about your lineage. He doesn't care about your traditions. Like, well, he knows about your traditions. He just doesn't care. He just wants to take it over and his name be put in the history books. That's pretty much what all he cares about and why he's doing what he's doing. But I digress. It's a fun game, very colorful game, very like well done, like cutscenes and like animations and like still like the intro, like just showing stuff, like showing the intro of like the name of the mission. Then when you complete it, seeing it, and then it just like dusts away, and then like any kind of like progress you make dusts away. It's just a very cool and underrated animation for that game. And I forgot, because you have commands with the D-pad, you also have commands with the touchpad, and you can bow. But I also forgot you have this cool little animation that when you're done fighting, you can flick the blood off the blade and before you sheath it. Very cool. Like just such a good game. Can't wait to reliving it. I don't remember how far I did play it. I've been playing chunks here and there over this week since I'm on vacation. Don't remember how much exactly I'm through. I know I've been doing a bunch of side missions. My next main mission is to go to I saved Yuna's brother, and now I'm doing I'm going to go to the Komatsu Forge to pretty much get something that can help me scale the wall of the main, like where my uncle is being held captive. So excited for that. I know where that is. So I'm excited to keep progressing the story. I'm probably going to play a little bit after tonight's show. So, and probably because tomorrow's my last day of vacation, so before I get back to the grind. So probably be playing some tonight and tomorrow, when or at least try and squeeze it in there. Zach says, Rurouni Kenshin up in here. You right. I say the Hiten Mitsurugi style, or if you're going about the other route, just like this, the stealth style, sneaking up on people and ganking them. So, without further ado, that is what I've been playing. Again, let me know what you guys been playing down in the comments below. I want to hear what everyone's been playing. Are you excited for Dragon Ball Sparking Zero next week? Like I said, Zach will be playing it on Tuesday night at, I think it's either 7 or 7:30. I forget which time he starts. I think it's 7:30, but he could start at 7. He'll let you know when it gets closer to time. But he will be playing Dragon Ball Sparking Zero on Tuesday. Get hyped, guys. Get ready. Let me know if you're getting the game and what fighters you will be playing with from the jump. But let's get into what is and what forever will be the gaming discussions. First up, like I said it before, the day before devs seemingly resurface and they're asking for your money again. Fantastic, the Singapore-based studio behind the ill-fated game The Day Before, has resurfaced after announcing its closure following a disastrous early access launch. The studio is now seeking a second chance and financial support through a Kickstarter campaign to, quote, bring Fantastic back, as announced on their revived Twitter account. Despite skepticism about the legitimacy of this move, the accompanying website is extensive, featuring an FAQ, a recovery plan, PDF, contact information, merchandise, and a Discord server with moderators claiming to be fantastic devs amid a crowd of confused onlookers. The site introduces a new multiplayer co-op game called Escape Factory, offering a free demo on Steam and aiming to raise over $15,000 through Kickstarter. Though it has only amassed $139 from 3 backers so far, the studio's previously scrubbed YouTube channel has also posted a trailer for the new game. Acknowledging past mistakes, Fantastic apologizes for The Day Before, citing overly ambitious goals on a low indie budget, lack of AAA technical experience, and misleading marketing. They claim to have made significant internal changes, including discontinuing the use of external volunteers, and are now prioritizing honesty, transparency, and professionalism. The current team is smaller, but consists of the same people who created their previous games. However, founders Edward and Eisen Gotovtsev are notably absent from the mention. Fantastic has lost all legal rights to both The Days Before and Prop Night, and states that if Escape Factory doesn't meet its Kickstarter goal, the studio won't be able to continue. They assert they have learned from their errors and are committed to rebuilding trust with the gaming community. If you don't remember what the day before was, it is pretty much. What's up, Michael? Glad that you're here. And Zach says he will be streaming the show at 7 on Tuesday. So there it is, guys. Official confirmation. Go there, check it out on Tuesday at 7 p.m. If you don't remember what the day before was, it was pretty much very inspired by The Division. Like, I was kind of intrigued by it to an extent. It was pretty much Division with zombies. It is dealing with like a zombie outbreak obviously the day before, like before it goes mass outbreak, and dealing, trying to survive, gather resources, make your way through. It was an intriguing premise, and as a fan of the Division series, it did pique my interest. But the fact that it just flamed out, and I think IGN gave it a 1 out of 10, shows that this game was nowhere near ready, and they had very ambitious goals, but or very lofty goals, but and very high ambitions, but came out to not even a flickering flame. So now they're back asking for money again, and the fact that this is, if they get money on this and if this project succeeds, will determine if their studio stays open. Not very many good signs. I know that's the state of the industry right now, with studios closing, they're restructuring, downsizing, laying off masses of people. I understand the industry is in a very high state of flux, but the fact, I don't know, I'm of two minds. The fact that you come out and are transparent, because that's what they want to be. They want to be transparent, letting them know that, hey, guys, we need to do well in this project, otherwise our studio closes, versus being too transparent and letting them know, like, hey guys, like, give us some money so we can keep going. And it's like, well, your first game was a disaster. I understand. Not everyone's first project is going to be a 10 out of 10. You just got to do what you got to do, learn from your mistakes, and keep moving. But at the same time, you having already a lack of goodwill going into this next Kickstarter project doesn't bode well for you as a studio, because you already have, granted, it's 3 backers. I don't know when exactly they started or opened up this Kickstarter campaign, but you only have not even $140, and you need 15 grand to fund this to even start funding on this project, is not bode well, because again, that ill will that you created from the day before is going to carry over, like it or not. Like, it doesn't matter. You can spin it however you want to. You can be as transparent as all get out. The proof is in the pudding. You did not do well, and you're asking people for more money. Like, again, I like Kickstarter, but not a lot of good things come from Kickstarter, or at least not a lot of long lasting things come from Kickstarter. It doesn't have a very high success rate. I was watching, was it Kind of Funny, or was it Sacred Symbols? But one of them was talking about the breakdown of stuff that was kickstarted and the longevity, or if it was successful, or if it made the light of day. And it wasn't very high success rate. And I don't know. Like, I applaud them for wanting to try again and apologizing, essentially, and trying to be honest with people about what happened, admitting that they were wrong and they screwed up, and wanting to try again. But there's just something about being too transparent and letting people know that, hey, we need money to keep going, otherwise more people will lose their jobs. Like, yes, there will be some people that care. Like, again, it already has $140 for 3 people, so apparently, whether they liked it or not, they liked the day before or not, or even funded the day before or not, doesn't matter. They want to throw money at this project. But I don't know. When you already don't have a successful track record, you just need to not spin it, but mum's the word on some stuff. But let me know what you guys think. Are you I wouldn't say happy. Are you intrigued that Fantastic is back from the dead, essentially, trying to make another game and go about a Kickstarter campaign again? Or are you thinking they're going to be dead in the water, regardless if they meet their Kickstarter goal or not? Because that's the other thing that we got to talk about is, let's say they meet their goal, their $15,000 goal, and they make the game, they put it out, and it's another dud. They're still going to close, because they don't have the money to, like, pretty much pay back pay back the goodwill of the people who dumped into the Kickstarter fund, or won't have enough money to keep the lights on in the studio. So that's another aspect you got to think about too, is even if the game does come out and it's another day before where it's a 1 out of 10, they're not going to stay open for long after that anyway. So I don't know. I'm also of the mindset that they should have probably just let it lie, like, just have been a one and done, and then go join other studios, because all these people that are getting laid off are making more studios, or people that were former execs, former devs at other high-end studios are making their own gaming companies. Join one of them if you want to do an indie project, and continue to do your work through there, rather than try and revive, try to be a phoenix from the ashes. But moving on, speaking of stuff that is more successful than the day before, we're going to switch it up tonight, guys. Zach and I were talking about this about possibly switching some like how we do our structure of the news around. So we're going to play with it and see what you guys think. Number two on our gaming news channel tonight, PlayStation news. That's right. It's not going to be last this time around. It's going to be second in charge tonight. First up, live service Horizon Online reportedly Gorilla's next project, while Horizon 3, quote, might be a ways off. Bloomberg reporter Jason Schreier has revealed that Guerrilla Games' next project is the live service game Horizon Online, indicating that the anticipated Horizon 3 may be delayed. Speaking on the Spawncast podcast, Schreier questioned Guerrilla's strategy, expressing doubts about the demand for an online version of Horizon. He also mentioned upcoming projects like the Horizon Zero Dawn remaster and LEGO Horizon Adventures, wondering what the studio will do if these titles fail to generate significant interest. Schreier highlighted concerns about PlayStation's live service initiatives, noting that many have been canceled or underperformed, with Horizon Online being one of the few still in development. He emphasized that while many resources are allocated to this online project, there's uncertainty about its potential success and the overall direction of the Horizon franchise. And so this is interesting to note because, Sony has had this weird flux trying to balance doing live adaptations or other projects, bringing their IPs to the smaller / big screen with, Last of Us, TV show like season 2 is coming out sometime next year. The God of War project, I can't remember if it's a movie or TV show. I think it's a movie. No, it might be a TV show. Horizon was supposed to be a movie and got canceled. But then, and then also trying to juggle back and forth between this live service initiative, and it's like Schreier said, PlayStation's live service initiatives have been hit or miss. Like you had the former Crown Jewel, Naughty Dog had to cancel Last of Us multiplayer, which was a prominent feature in the first one that many people enjoyed. And they had to cancel it, and that speaks volumes to Naughty Dog and them not being able to put out a project. And then you have stuff like Concord, which came out to a whimper. Not even, what was it? I forget the exact concurrent users, but it was a very low number, and didn't even last 2 weeks before they shut it off permanently, or at least for now. Zach says, live service games are ticking time bombs. You're correct, because it's all dependent on the player base adopting it in its first 2 weeks. Like any game, pretty much its window to make its money back, or at least majority of its money back, is in its first 2 weeks of release. And that's no different for live service games. Like, yes, the tail that you build along the road to keep people interested, to keep the money coming in, matters as well. But if you don't grab people within the first 2 weeks, heck, even the first week, you're going to fail immediately. And yes, there's only 3 successful live service games right now. We keep harping on that because they're the kings. That's Call of Duty Warzone, Apex Legends, even though it's been quiet for a very long time, and Fortnite. So the king of kings, essentially. And Zach says under 700 on Steam players for Concord. So yeah, I knew it was a low number. I just couldn't remember exactly the numbers. I didn't want to get that wrong. But yeah, so the fact that they're continuing with Horizon, we saw it at the State of Play, right? LEGO Horizon Adventures, which comes out November 14th, and then the more immediate project, Horizon Zero Dawn Remaster for the PlayStation 5, coming out literally in 4 weeks from tonight. And, obviously, I get Schreier's points, the fact that, what if these projects don't hit? It's kind of what I alluded to at the State of Play last week. Yes, do we need a Horizon Zero Dawn remake only with it being 7 years old on the PlayStation 5? No, but like with Last of Us Part 1 remake and Part 2 remaster, they wanted it to coincide or be close to the release of the Last of Us TV show to capitalize on sales, to get more people to get more eyes on the TV screen when it came out for the TV show. And or vice versa, like if they were intrigued by the TV show trailers and knew that and found out this was about games, they wanted to check out what the games were about to see how accurate it was and buy it and get more money. Like we saw with Last of Us Part 1, there was like a 200% sales increase, maybe higher than that, around the time the game came out or around the time the show came out. So it did what it did, and at the same time, they greenlit originally a couple years ago a Horizon movie or TV show with Netflix, but that recently. So I imagine the remaster was to coincide with the release. I'm assuming if the remaster was to launch this year, the project would probably be sometime next year when it debuted. But now that the project has fallen through, they couldn't just nix the game. So they figured, all right, we've already put all these resources into it. Just put it out anyway. Like people are gonna enjoy it if they enjoyed it the first time around anyway. And that's my train of thought with the remaster, right? Like, yes, will it sell gangbusters to when it first released? Probably not. It probably won't even. It may not even do what Forbidden West did when it first came out. But in my opinion, and I think Zach can agree with me, uh, the first one told, like, while we enjoyed the improvement to gameplay mechanics and world building and exploration in Forbidden West, I think the story in Zero Dawn was more complete. It was original. They weren't building off of anything. They were just starting from the ground up. Where, yes, Forbidden West story was good, but it ended kind of weird, in a weird spot for both of us, to where it was just like, okay, let's just go out there in left field and just leave it at that. And so maybe they'll be able to rein it in and make it still an intriguing story for Horizon 3, but we'll have to see. But I think, because not to obviously, Jason Schreier has been a bastion for the games industry, media industry, for a very long time. He has been he's been always accurate with his reporting. He does his homework, he does his research, and he gets the truth out of people and tells a very intricate tale when it's brought to light for the gaming community. And I'm not to argue with him about his points about, but he brings up valid points about what if these projects don't hit. But I think that these two projects are in different spots to warrant being okay. With Zero Dawn Remaster, again, Zach even agrees with me, 100% Zero Dawn is the better story, and I agree. So, and I think because of that, because people, if you loved it the first time around, you'll be intrigued, especially if you didn't get like the complete edition, or you want to experience it on the PlayStation 5, or get it if you're getting one of the lucky few that got a PS5 Pro, want to experience it in full capacity on a PS5 Pro, you're going to get it. So I think it'll do well enough to not be a failure. Whereas Lego Horizon Adventures, while it is wacky and it is a different take on the first game, it's also coming to Switch, and they want this to be kid friendly, bring in another audience, and it's coming to, was it PS5? I don't remember PS4 as well, but PlayStation, PC, and Switch. So it's going to have a bigger audience to appeal to, and it's going to try and appeal to a younger audience, especially fans of Lego games. So especially around the time where it's coming out, it's coming middle of November, right before Thanksgiving, and then I'm sure closer to Christmas it'll be on sale. So for those parents that are wondering what to get their kids for Christmas, closer to Christmas, Lego games are always a great option to get. So I think both of them will do well enough to warrant not being failures. And now, again, but that being said, Horizon Online will be a different animal altogether, pun intended. But it'll depend on the gameplay. Like, will the loot be interesting enough? Like, will it be more than just like a Monster Hunter clone, essentially? Because that's what people were speculating when this first got announced a couple of years ago, about it being like, oh, are you just going to do Monster Hunter with the robots, essentially? So it'll depend on the gameplay loop. It'll depend on what they can do. Now, if they can do on this like online version what God of War did with the Valhalla DLC, and we're taking a game mode that I wasn't fond of in roguelite and spinning an interesting story with it. I got to go back and finish it. Zach and I were talking about it over the weekend. Putting an interesting spin on the gameplay and adding a story into it. I'm not necessarily saying Horizon Online has to add a story into it, but if they can make a unique twist to it to get like a hook to get players to come into it, I think it'll do all right. But again, like Zach alluded to earlier, live service games are ticking time bombs. So it could be a moderate success, it can be a massive failure. We'll just have to wait and see. But it also lightly confirms that Horizon 3 is in development. Like, obviously, the news of it being somewhat delayed or just being pushed, I don't call it a delay. I just call it kicking it down the road, because the online is taking more of a precedent. And I'm sure Sony told them, hey, we know like our live service initiatives are not taking off the way we thought to. Just get it out, and that way you can focus on working on the next iteration of the franchise that you want to do. So I know Sony is all in on the Horizon IP. and I know the Decima engine does gangbusters in terms of being able for in terms of fidelity and graphical output. Like I know even Kojima with Death Stranding, when he was shopping engines to run Death Stranding 1 on, he really fell in love. That man's huge on tech with the Decima engine. So obviously, Guerrilla knows what they're doing. They know what they can bring to the table. They're trying to, I don't know if they'll ever be a top 3 studio for Sony. That some could argue that they already are, but with Insomniac, Santa Monica, Sucker Punch, and Naughty Dog, it's going to be hard to break into the top 3 unless you just come out with bangers. But Guerrilla's making a name for themselves in Sony's stable of first party titles. So I'm excited to see what this online game looks like down the road. I'm excited. I'm definitely excited for Horizon 3. Definitely excited to see where they can go with that world and with that story, despite how weird it ended at the end of Forbidden West. But I'm also looking to the near future because your boy will be getting Horizon Zero Dawn again on the PlayStation 5. Now, will I be playing it immediately? Probably not. I'll probably wait till I play through Ghost of Tsushima and the Iki Island DLC, because your boy also has to go back to Forbidden West and play the Burning Shores DLC. But I digress. And I'll also be getting Lego Horizon Adventures when it comes out in November. So look forward to a lot of Horizon from your boy down the road. That being said, let's get on to the PlayStation quickies. We got just got a few little tidbits of PlayStation news to talk about. First up, Toshi Aoki says Sony not including disk drive in the PS5 Pro is about, quote, giving players choices. The PlayStation 5 Pro 30th anniversary limited edition console bundle sold out in seconds, and now scalpers are selling it for thousands of dollars. No shock. Zach and I kind of talked about it when the PS5 Pro was initially announced, that I think scalpers are here to stay. Will it be as prevalent as it was during the PS5 and Series X and S launch in peak COVID? No, I don't think it'll ever be that prevalent again, but I still think they will have a presence going forward. Like I think they're here to stay. I think the next possible, because you can call this just a small hiccup, honestly, but I think the next big talking point of them, being a menace to society essentially will be when Switch 2 is inevitably launched. But I digress. PS5 home screen now replaces unique video game art with annoying ads you can't turn off, but don't worry, it's actually the result of a bug. Latest PS5 firmware update changes mean that jailbroken console users won't be able to access their legit games library. So if you jailbroke your PS5, congratulations, you're going to play yourself and you won't be able to access your games that you legitimately bought on the console. Ex-Sony boss Ken Kutaragi claims everyone at the company thought PlayStation would fail. This is back in the day, before the PS1 launched. So interesting insight 30 years later that this man thought that the PlayStation would fail. I forget, Nintendo had something similar where they were, I think it was a Switch. Yeah, it was a Switch, where they put after the Wii U debacle, they put all their eggs in the basket of the Switch. And if it failed, they would pretty much just go to handheld. They wouldn't completely give up, but they just go to handhelds. Hideo Kojima had plenty of offers for a Death Stranding movie, but chose A24 because he wants to, quote, make a slightly different kind of film with A24. Following that, Death Stranding 2 release date is already decided, but Kojima can't reveal it until 2025. Death Stranding 2 footage shows super weird photo mode, dancing puppet men, and George Miller. Death Stranding 2 is still for 2025, but is only 30 to 40% complete, according to Hideo Kojima. Team Asobi says, we really respect the choice of each publisher amid Final Fantasy cameo absence. And I thought that there were some, playing Astrobot, I still need 5 more bots, but I thought there was like maybe at least one character from Final Fantasy in there, but that's all, if not, that's huge, not having a franchise that's arguably part of PlayStation's lineage as cameos. But again, that was out of Team Asobi's hands. That was pretty much Square Enix saying yay or nay to putting characters in there as cameo appearances. Sony has doubled the price of Horizon Zero Dawn on PS4 ahead of the remaster's launch. It was $20 for the longest time on the complete edition. Obviously you could get it as part of the welcome package for new PS5 owners. Like if you subscribe to PS Plus, that was one of the free games you got. Obviously they took it off, but you could get it for a really cheap price. But now it's like, hey, we're getting an updated version with all the DLC on it that you could upgrade to $10 for. But if you don't own it, you're gonna have to. But if you don't own it, you're gonna have to spend $40 now in order to own it for PS4, and then spend another $10 to upgrade for PS5. To which I just say, if you don't already own it, just wait till the remaster drops, and that way, yes, you're spending more money, but it's better than paying for the game twice anyway. Sucker Punch plans to make Ghost of Yote's open world less repetitive. And lastly, God of War Ragnarok PC mod has been removed by its creator. The mod was basically removing the PSN account requirement. But Sucker Punch, making Ghost of Yote's open world less repetitive, um, is very intriguing. Like, again, I haven't played all of through Ghost, but I played through a lot of like the side quests, the Tales of Tsushima, and I played a couple of the mythic quests. And if they mean like the side objectives, like the fox dens, the shrine pillars, the bamboo strikes, I get that part. I can understand, like making that less repetitive. But if they're talking about like the side quests and all, I don't think that they're that repetitive. Now, yes, some of the generic side quests, I think, um, yeah, you could see them kind of just getting. It's like, all right, here's a conflict. Go solve it. It's like literally 100 meters away from you. Go solve it, and then story's done. But now the Tales of Tsushima and the Mythic Tales are definitely more intriguing. They're more thought out. They're longer. They're almost like very much watered down story missions. Like, yes, the story missions are more grandiose, uh, longer, and have more cinematic range. But the tales, like with Sensei Ishikawa and Lady Masako, and now you get Kenji, the sake distributor, thrown in there, and then who else? And then I guess, of course, the Mythic Tales, like them, like with the Mythic Tales, like you had to find this legendary armor, and it was pretty much like a hunt. It's like, all right, you went here, not here, but someone was here previously. Let's go find them. You go find them, found out that, oh, I left the armor here. It's the whole back and forth. It's really intriguing, really well done in terms of like how they construct those stories and make you care about those characters. So that part, I hope they don't mess with too much. But the like fox dens and the plethora of the hot springs and all that kind of stuff, like if they're aiming for that kind of stuff to be less repetitive, that'll be cool. Like the old adage, less is more. So if you, instead of putting 50 fox dens, if you put like 25, 30, and but it takes you more to find, or they give you more of a benefit rather than just like unlock charms to add to your outfit, or like, to buff out your character, that'd be cool. So, but we'll see. Games coming out next year, probably mid to late next year, as Zach and I speculated. I think we're both in agreement that it'll probably be summer. It came out in July for the first game, so I think that'd be a great release. The only exception I would say now is put it far enough away. I know it's two different games. Put it far enough away from college football if they decide to do another game. For EA Sports decides to do another iteration of college football next year, because they were always the July window, and that had been vacant for many a year until this year. And so hopefully if Ghost does come out in July, hopefully they do it end of July if college football does beginning. So, but either way, Ghost could have the gumption to go toe to toe with EA if they wanted to. But guys, we put in a lot of work over here. Zach more than me. I just show up for the once a week shows. That's why we're a 1.5 man crew. Zach does a lot of stuff behind the scenes to get the show out. He busts his butt to make sure you guys get out the show. We just had, let's say, so if we just had our third episode of Eat Sleep Anime of the year that we recorded this past Saturday. So, and how can you watch that, you ask? Go over to patreon.com/the-NerdCave to go over there and watch it. Subscribe to us, and that way you can get all that kind of content like that, early. Because if you're not subscribed to Patreon, you can't see the third episode. You're gonna have to wait several weeks to probably a month. What up, Brandon? Glad you're here, man. You have to wait several weeks, probably a month, maybe longer, depending on how fast Zach can edit the episode and get it out, before you can watch it free of charge. So go over there to Patreon and you subscribe to us, throw us some dollars, make us holler, and that way you can keep funding our products that you love, and maybe do some more stuff down in the future. Who knows? Zach and I were talking about an anime show for the longest time, and we finally did it this year. Who knows what other projects that could stem from this later down the road if the inspiration bug bit us. Moving on, our last news story of the night. Blizzard reportedly had StarCraft, Overwatch, and Diablo adaptations in development, but then it decided to sue Netflix. In a Reddit AMA promoting his new book, Play Nice: The Rise, Fall, and Future of Blizzard Entertainment, Bloomberg reporter Jason Schreier revealed that all three major Blizzard franchises were slated for Netflix adaptations. However, these plans were halted after Blizzard sued Netflix for allegedly poaching the company's former chief financial officer, Spencer Newman. In early 2019, Newman was fired by Blizzard for breaching his contract to become Netflix's CFO, a dispute that appears to have ended the potential adaptations. Fans are expressing disappointment, particularly for Overwatch, which seems well suited for an animated series given its existing animated shorts that delve into the characters' backstories. A StarCraft adaptation was also highly anticipated due to the game's acclaimed cutscenes and promotional videos. Conspicuously absent from Schreier's revelations is Warcraft, which had a CGI-heavy film released in 2016. Although it was briefly the highest-grossing video game movie of all time, it didn't achieve sufficient success to justify a sequel. It's time, I'll say. So, looking at that, it's very intriguing that Blizzard had this. Again, Jason Schreier just released his new book about Blizzard. I wonder how much it covers. Like, obviously, it goes down in the history, a little bit of the history of like this whole Netflix debacle. It goes back to 2019. I wonder if that's where his book stops, because I would like to see if any of it talks about the Bobby Kotick stuff, like how it was pretty much run like a frat house, and how much like him letting so many things go under the being brushed under the rug. But if you want to support that, go out there, buy the book or check it out. Wherever you indulge books. I know it's always an intriguing read whenever Jason Schreier comes out with a big, required reading segment like this. So I don't know it. And you guys let me know, would you have wanted to see Netflix adaptations of those said properties of like Overwatch, Diablo, like I think what was it, Diablo and StarCraft, and I think there was one more. Anyway, would you have liked to see properties around that? Because like Jason said, the Warcraft came out with a film in 2016 that I didn't even know was that recent. I thought it was later down the like 2013, 2014. And it flopped. Like, yes, it was a highest grossing video game movie, but when you don't have stiff competition, it's you only have so much to compete with. You only have such a high bar to set. But then it still didn't warrant enough to do a sequel. Now, again, Blizzard may have had way higher expectations. I know we talk about it a lot, where Square Enix has way higher internal projections than what they should have for their video game sales. Maybe Blizzard did the same thing, but I don't know. I didn't hear really great things about the Warcraft movie. Now, with Netflix money, obviously things could be different. And if told a certain way, getting certain directors that have a vision and want to do right by these properties, it can always go well. I think StarCraft, would have done a great job. And I think Overwatch is weird because I feel like they would have to do it differently, like do a different character every week. But then again, that's what their shorts are for. But I think they doing like a group of characters per episode, like focusing on them, or just maybe even going deeper and like going on delving into the conflict with the separate factions that that are discussed in the game would be cool. Diablo, I don't know. Diablo's the only one where I kind of question if it needs an adaptation. Obviously, yes, it's a successful franchise, especially with how well Diablo 4 is doing. But I don't know. I feel like Diablo for maybe a movie would do better, but as a TV show on Netflix, I don't know how it would do. That's the only one I question the success of doing that. But you guys let me know, what would you be excited to see come out of this? If the Netflix deal had happened, what would you have liked to see happen, or what would you like to see in the future, just in general? Because maybe Netflix fell through, but maybe Max comes through and knocks on the door. Maybe Amazon Prime comes and knocks on the door and is like, "Hey, we'll pick up where Netflix left off and do you guys right. Excuse me, I gotta take a sip. So I don't know. Maybe these will see the light of day. I don't know though. It's it's one of those where I'm okay if it does, if it doesn't, but it'll be intriguing if it does. Like I talked about earlier, Sony canned or the Netflix deal with Horizon fell through, and but they're still doing a God of War. So maybe it wasn't in the cards. Maybe the person helming originally picked to helm the project didn't like the ideas thrown or didn't think it would be true to form. We never know. We never know till after the fact. But guys, it is time for your favorite segment, and at the end, toward the end of our show, the Patreon quick hits, which are brought to you by our wonderful patrons over at patreon.com/the NerdCave. Go over there to show your support and help us keep the lights on and help keep the 1.5 man crew, the half man being Zach. Yes, the inmates running the asylum, I get to pick the shticks for tonight, Zach. So I know you'll come on here and comment, I'm the half man, but you're not here in person to defend yourself. So you know, it doesn't matter. But starting off the quick hits, we got Fatal Fury City of the Wolves adds Ken and Chun Li from Street Fighter in 2025. Merge Games has announced it's shutting down after 15 years. Wow. I didn't even think they had been around for that long, but it's sad to see because I know they were always a bit, I would call them a double A indie publisher. They never did anything great, but they were always stuck around, and you always see their name pop up in like shows and just randomly. They were just like one of not a annoying fly, but they were, what I'm trying to get at. They were just around. You always saw them for a long time. Some Warhammer news. Space Marine 2 update reduces enemy aggressiveness on veteran and adds private mode for operations. Datamine reveals unannounced armor pieces, including the beaky helmet. Games Workshop is so protective of Warhammer, it told the Space Marine 2 dev they got the ankle armor wrong. Holy cow. Like, you want to talk about being nitpicky? Like, you go down to the very minutest of detail and being like, yeah, you got this wrong. Like, heaven forbid if someone had dust on their ankle and be like, nah, we need you to, even though it shows like a tenth of an inch of skin here, we need you to add more dust to the ankle. But I digress. That just shows that they are very, very particular about how their IP is to be portrayed. The Space Marine 2 team admits its story was limited by 3-player co-op, saying compromises were made. Black Myth Wukong sold 20 million units in its first month. Holy cow, man. So obviously, I don't know. I know it's based off a book or like a comic. I don't know if it's a comic or book series. I know it's based off of that. I don't know if they did a sequel, but I digress. If they sold 20 million units in 1 month, it's obviously going to get either DLC and or sequel. So, according to Jason Schreier's new book, a new StarCraft shooter is in the works at Blizzard. The finals update for Season 4 includes a new map and 3 weapons. Obsidian devs have floated the idea of a Pillars of Eternity tactics game. Shigeru Miyamoto wants Nintendo to be left out of the game wars and focus on high-end specs and performance. Ubisoft France strike called over return to office order and pay dispute. Cyberpunk 2077 mod turns the game into super hot. Bloober Team's CEO says Silent Hill 2 Remake isn't the end of its relationship with Konami. Following that, Konami's Noriaki Okamura apologizes for lack of Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater release date. Following that, the Metal Gear Solid series producer says they're thinking about making a new Metal Gear Solid, but will wait for feedback on Delta. Following that, Konami says remaking Metal Gear Solid 1 would be harder than Snake Eater. Assassin's Creed Invictus due out between Shadows and Hexy. Last week we talked about the Fall Guys, it being inspired by Fall Guys, with the inspiration just an analogy used for the gameplay loop. Assassin's Creed Shadows delay is due to numerous issues, including lack of polish and historical accuracy concerns. Following that, a rumor about Shadows is that they're working on a co-op mode for the game as well. Vampire Survivor dev opens its own publishing arm, is not interested in games driven by AI/Web3. Tony Hawk says there will be a future as Pro Skater celebrates its 25th anniversary. Valve's new multiplayer game Deadlock lets you turn characters into frogs. excuse me, cheaters into frogs, not characters. The characters will turn into frogs, but only if they cheat. Patent expert says Pokemon lawsuit shows just how seriously Nintendo views the threat of Power World. I'm not sure if it's necessarily a threat. I think both of them can survive in the ecosystem, but at the same time, like they are taking it kind of overly serious. Amid Nintendo lawsuit, Pocket Pair signs deal for mobile version of Power World. Dave the Diver publisher Nexon lays off small number of staff. KFC's Colonel Sanders won't be a new Tekken 8 fighter, but not for Katsuhiro Harada's lack of trying. Harada says a Tekken Retro collection wouldn't work due to early polygon models not aging well. Harada says he's going to rethink his role following DLC stage backlash. Amazon's Like a Dragon Yakuza series gets another action-packed trailer ahead of its premiere this month. Annapurna Interactive confirms development for Silent Hill Townfall will continue in collaboration with Konami and No Code. Yoshi P says Final Fantasy IX Remake could require multiple titles due to its huge volume. Excuse me. Sonic Cross Shadow Generations' new Shadow campaign is about the same length as Sonic Generations. Square Enix wants to release Final Fantasy XVI on Xbox, but can't share a release date just yet. Critical Role animated show The Legend of Vox Machina goes free on YouTube ahead of Season 3. Krafton exec says Hi-Fi Rush 2 dev wants the sequel to be a more open-world type of experience. XR Games could lay off as many as 72 employees in restructuring. Devolver Digital launches new publishing arm Big Fan Games, focusing on game adaptations of movies, TV, and comics. CI Games confirms the Lords of the Fallen sequel is now in full production. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League Season 3 is out now, which brings Zoe Lawton, new gear, and bug fixes. After laying off 830 employees, Tim Sweeney says Epic Games is now financially sound. I think they were sound already. I don't know. I'm not going to get into those weeds. Zach can probably do a car thoughts rant on that kind of thing, but them saying they're now financially sound is a stretch in my opinion, but I digress. Fortnite will now let parents set time limits complete with in-game pop-ups warning it's time to log off. 2 F-Zero Game Boy Advance games, one previously Japan only, speeds towards Switch Online. Bloodstained Ritual of the Night director stepping back from sequel after cancer diagnosis. Baldur's Gate 3 players have downloaded more than 15 million mods since patch 7 arrived. Larian Studios says, quote, don't hold us to a date, while joking its next game will arrive in 2029. A new California law forces digital storefronts to tell consumers they're just buying a license, not a product. Red Barrel's reportedly hacked with over 1.8 terabytes of data stolen. This is the Outlast dev, their latest game being the multiplayer Outlast Trials. So we'll probably find out by next week if anything comes from the stolen data, like if an Outlast 3 is in the works or whatnot. The Division 3 team is hiring once again, this time for a level design director. The Witcher 3 gets spooky with a slew of Halloween-themed mods. Frostpunk 2 dev delays its next game, The Altars, to early 2025. And lastly, the Super Mario Bros. Movie 2 includes some Nintendo characters that are really deep cuts. So there you have it, guys. That is the quick hits, and that is the show. Let me know, is there anything else, anything that stuck out to you guys, anything else you want to discuss for the next minute or two while I'm still here? But yeah, some good stuff this week. Kind of a slow week. I was almost worried that I wasn't going to have anything interesting for the show, especially when I found out I was going to be doing it solo. But the Horizon news came about, and I was like, "Cool, we're good." But yeah, so what was it? One of the things I meant to elaborate more on. Yeah, the Shadows thing. My brother actually sent me a meme. Of course, it's the regurgitated Crisis on Infinite Earths meme, like off the scenes thing where Grant Gustin as Barry Allen is standing in front of the grave, doing doing a hand sign or whatever, and basically it's supposed to be like satirical, and everyone kind of Photoshop stuff into that. And he sent me that where it's like Ghost is Shadows is on the grave, and Ghost of Yote is Barry Allen or is the Flash. I mean, like, yeah. So no matter, even if Shadows comes out and is great, I think Ghost, if it's done right, will eat Shadows lunch money, especially now that it's coming out possibly 5 months before Ghost at the bare minimum. Ghost might come out next holiday. So, but again, doesn't matter. You could make Ghost come out in 2026 now that it's a thing. No, I don't. I think all the momentum for Shadows is dead. Like there will be, not saying that there won't be anyone that buys it, but I don't think there. I think now that people will play the actual real samurai game instead of Shadows. But yeah, what there was something else though. Yeah, the co-op mode for Ghost. I mean for Shadows. If it's a, I hope it's a rumor, and I hope it's already. My fear is they delayed the game and they're putting this in there now that the delay after the delay was announced. I hope that it was already a part of the original idea, and they just needed more time to polish that aspect, rather than take that out and be like, well, we got two protagonists. It would be a disservice if we don't do co-op in the game. Um, so I hope that's not a Johnny come lately idea, as opposed to it being there from early conception of the game, and just them just wanting to make it more polished. I know they've tried it before with Assassin's Creed Unity with doing co-op. They didn't do it with Syndicate, which I feel might have been a missed opportunity. But again, it came out the year after Unity, so I think they didn't want to worry about that. But I don't remember much of Unity. I know it came out a very buggy mess, but I do think that people did somewhat enjoy the co-op experience, even though it was limited to that was Far Cry. Far Cry 4, the co-op was limited to just the open world. You couldn't do it for the story. So Shadows, I'm hoping, because we can see two different paths. We saw in like the last trailer whereas I forget the names. I think the samurai's name is Yasuke. I forget the woman's name. But since she's more of like the true assassin, like sneak through the shadows, take it down from above, and he's more of like the in your face, like the more like initial Jinsakai, where he's like doing the standoffs, like come face me or whatever. I feel like if you do that co-op, hopefully it tailors to those strengths, if anything. But we'll see. Only time will tell, as Zach says. But anyway, guys, I've done enough talking. I've talked your ears off. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for all for being here. Thank you for listening to me ramble for roughly an hour. I'm surprised I went for an hour, considering how much stuff I had, or the lack of stuff I had to talk about tonight. But that just shows I have the gift of gab, and I can stretch anything out if I put my mind to it. So, but thank you guys again. Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Zach's playing Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. Be there, check it out, interact, have some fun. Just enjoy the early, because we're getting one of the deluxe editions to get it 3 days early. So we'll have early access. So get on there. Let us know if who you're going to be playing as, and just interact. Let's hear your thoughts. Like as you're watching him, tell him what your initial thoughts are of the game, and if you'll be getting it on Tuesday night stream. And then of course, as always, we'll be back to full strength next Thursday night on NerdCave News to give you all the nerdy news that you need to know. This has been Derek, and have a blessed night. Bye.